Hey friends, this week we're moving on to the key of A flat in our 12 keys in 12 weeks series. This key is going to have 4 flats in it, B, E, A, and D. Down below on the worksheet, there are of course the scales and chords that you need to play in this key. But what I want to talk about today is really the arrangement that I wrote up for y'all, which is of Goodnight Irene, which is a wonderful old folk tune that you probably know from Leadbelly or maybe even Pete Seeger and the Weavers a little bit later on in American music. I've arranged this in campanella style, which we've talked a little bit before, but I want to just dive a little bit further down that rabbit hole today. One of the keys of campanella style is allowing the notes to ring out as long as possible, so that while we're playing these individual notes, we're still getting a sense of harmony and dissonance while we are playing. To do this, we need to utilize some specific fingerings. We can't be jumping all over the fingerboard, although the fretted notes can be in odd locations to keep this campanella style going and not have 2 consecutive notes. But we want to think long and hard about the logical fingerings that we can use to make this as easy as possible for ourselves and do the least amount of movement with the left hand so that we really can focus on coaxing out these long harmonious notes. So let's dive right into this. We're going to start out on the A flat on the 4th fret of our E string. We can play this with our pinky or our ring finger, whichever is more comfortable for you. You'll see that the next note is a B flat on the 1st fret of your A string. This will be covered by the 1st finger. So when we start the tune, you can start out with your both fingers already in this position, and then we're good for the first 4 notes of the entire song. We'll play the A flat, B flat, then back to the A flat, and then an open G string. And now we have our first movement. For this F on the 1st fret of our E string, we're going to move our 1st finger over, but at the same time, we can take our ring finger and put it on the E flat on our C string, which means that we're already ready for that next note. So really the shift that we're making is from this just down to this, a very similar shape. And over the first 4 bars, that's the only movement that we really should be making with our hands. We don't need to do this all over the place. So the first 4 bars are going to look a little bit something like this, and really note the left hand position and the position shift that I'm making as opposed to just thinking about fingering the individual notes themselves. Now we shift. And you can hear at the end of this, all 4 strings are already ringing, and that's giving us that campanella sound. Now, as we move on, we want to look forward and look at the next 4 bars of music, and you'll see that there's a lot of notes on the 3rd fret. In fact, there's nothing below the 3rd fret, which means that we can bar across the 3rd fret and already have all of these notes at our disposal without fingering individual notes. So if you bar across the 3rd fret when we get to the 5th bar of this tune, and we can even put down the A flat on the 4th fret of our E string that we're going to need in just a moment. And if we're here, the entire bar is right here. All you have to worry about is hitting the right string with your right hand, and then you're done. You're going to hit the G string, A string, G string, and then the E string here, that A flat. And even the last note in this entire line, that B flat on the 3rd fret of our G string, we've already played. We don't have to move for this entire line. So this is what bars 5 through 8 are going to sound like. And on bar 9, we already have this C under the 3rd fret of our A string here, but we're going to have to put down a couple extra fingers to get the next couple notes. So while we're already in this bar position, we don't need to move anything. You're going to take your ring finger and put it on the 5th fret of your G string and your pinky on the 6th fret of the E string to grab the B flat that is there. And that's going to cover our next 3 notes, and then we're going to have another full position shift. So these first ones will be right there, and then we're going to move down to the 1st fret. When we move to the 1st fret, you'll note that the first note is the A flat on the 1st fret of your G string, but our next note is going to be the B flat on the 1st fret of our A string. So we may as well just move both fingers down here at once and get both of these ready to go. And then we have a bit of a stretch to get our pinky to the 5th fret, the F on our C string. But as we're doing this, we can move our 1st finger over from here over to the F on the 1st fret of our E string, and then we have both of these ready to go. So our position shift will really be from this to this, to these 2 Fs. You want to practice this movement right here to get through that bar. So bars 9 through 14 are going to sound a little bit something like this. Note that we're still starting out on the 3rd fret bar, And then we're moving down to the first fret, and then another position shift here. So it's gonna sound like this, nice and slow. And we're down here, right, like that. Now to end the tune, we're gonna go back to our third fret bar. You'll note that this is very, very similar, if not almost identical, to what we did in bars 5 through 8 to end this. So we'll go back to our bar with our second finger on the 4th fret of our A string, of our E string, just like this. Sorry, to get the A flat there. And then we have, and at the end, you'll note that my left hand did not move at all. So I'm going to play the whole piece for you nice and slowly, and I want you to pay close attention to where these position shifts are. Here's our shift, and then to our bar chord. Note that we're staying right here. Now we put some fingers down. Shift, shift, back to the bar. So that gets us through our entire piece. And if you need to print out the music and mark it up and put fingerings over top of this, you might find fingerings that work better for you on your specific instrument or your specific hands. But it's important to mark down on the music where we want to make these position shifts so that we're not thinking about every note individually, but we're really chunking them all together into melodic and harmonic concepts. I'll see y'all next week.